Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium eSports coverage of the 15th round of Season 2 of Monday Night Racing, presented by Tufco Flooring. The Big Green Egg 150 at iRacing's Virtual Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. James Pike, the voice of Podium eSports, here, joined by my colleague Taylor Burris, as always, with Ryan Bauer, our producer, punching the buttons in the virtual production trailer. Cams tonight by our good friend Dougie Beard. First and foremost, before we begin tonight's proceedings, we want to extend our deepest condolences at Podium eSports to Monday Night Racing competitor Seth Eggert. Seth lost his mother over the course of the past week, and for someone who has not only been part of Monday Night Racing for a long while, pretty much since its inception, but also someone who I've known personally as a friend for a long while, and someone who I've worked with in the industry for many years, along with scores of other people. I think a lot of us can attest to Seth's diligence, his professionalism, and the brilliance of the skills with which he plies his trade as a writer for KickingTheTires.net. And it is always difficult to see situations like these come forth, Taylor Burris. So tonight we're going to dedicate the broadcast to Seth and to the memory of his mother, Brenna Eggert.
It certainly is. The loss of a loved one is very something that all of us have to deal with. But of course, for Seth, our hearts go out to him and the whole Eggert family. So we race in honor of his mother for tonight, and we hope that we're able to put on a wonderful show for Seth and the rest of the Eggert family.
Seth made the point to me, and also tweeted about this, I think, a few days ago as well, upon the passing of his mother, that Brenna was someone who never wanted him to stop for her. She wanted him to continue what he was doing and continue to work and continue to live out his dreams. And so I suspect that she very much would have wanted us to carry on here tonight in Monday Night Racing. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll have a little bit more for her over the course of the broadcast, but you'll see many of the cars in the field tonight running the Remembering Brenna Eggert decals on their hoods and various other places on their machines, and you'll see those all throughout the evening as we race here at Auto Club Speedway for 150 miles to determine which drivers will go to the championship. 7 enter this evening with a chance. 4 will leave tonight with a shot at the title. You look at the cutoff line. Preston Pardis enters clear of Matt Stelnick by 4 points. Max Kennedy is 5 points back of Preston Pardis, and Gabe Wood missed last week. He pretty much is in a win or go home scenario. So we know the story for Gabe Taylor. The points battle is really going to be all about Kennan, Stelnick, and Pardis. Maybe Will Rogers, Alfredo, or DeGroot if they have an off night, but the 4, 5, 6 are going to be the ones that we watch this evening.
It certainly is, James. I mean, we know for a fact Gabe Wood, he has to come home with the victory in order to be guaranteeing a spot in the Final Four. But Nick DeGroot, Anthony Alfredo, they have to be careful as well. A bad race, such as finishing outside the top 10 or even getting involved in an early caution and wreck, could cost them the chance to be in the championship for Season 2 of Monday Night Racing.
All comes down to this, the penultimate race of the season. We're going to go for 75 laps, 150 miles, just over 241 kilometers around this 2-mile Auto Club Speedway, which was heavily updated in the most recent build of iRacing that released last week. Multiple lanes are back at Auto Club, and you will see cars go 3 and 4 wide. We saw Josh Mendoza and our friends at eRacer host a few races on their Twitch channel that featured this very combo, and those races were all competitive all week. So I have to believe that those are any indication of what we should see this evening. Then we are in for a very fun race to figure out our championship for.
We certainly are. So drivers are going to be all over the place here, kind of like what we saw actually the last time the NASCAR series has come to Auto Club. Of course, this will be a change the next time they come back as we zoom in over Auto Club Speedway, think out in Fontana, California, via Google Earth.
You look at where we are, we're about 30 minutes to the west of downtown Los Angeles at this Auto Club Speedway, which is reported to become a short track in the near future, that this whole site will be reconfigured. Some of the land around the track will be shoaled and this track condensed into a smaller palace of speed that could potentially create a lot of fun racing in the future. But tonight it's still the big 2-miler that we know here, where tire conservation, if we get a long green flag run, is crucial. You will burn them up here, just as the sun usually tends to beat down here in the valley.
Certainly so. Of course, it's amazing to think about how this 2-mile track is going to go to basically a short track that kind of has the similarities of what Bristol and Martinsville have in common, with the long straightaways as Martinsville and then the high banked corners that we see over at Bristol Motor Speedway. So very interesting concept, but we still look forward to seeing racing here at the 2-mile configuration here tonight in the virtual world.
Should be a lot of fun. Now, for those who are unaware, this is a big week for Monday Night Racing presented by Tufco Flooring. Next week, even bigger. We crown the champions, of course, but we bring back 3 names that the NASCAR world knows very well. Adam Alexander, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip all return to the booth to bring down the curtain on Season 2 of Monday Night Racing. We're going to go truck racing at Atlanta, and we are going to have the best of the best in the booth to call this season home and crown a second Monday Night Racing champion, or a repeat if Nick DeGroot is able to make it and win. He's still in contention, so he has a bit of a defense to put on and has the opportunity to make his second straight championship for this evening.
He certainly does, but when we go to Atlanta next week, I'm pretty sure drivers here in Monday Night Racing who are trying to get their way into the Final Four, if they make it, they're going to be probably watching tomorrow night's eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, as well as probably the eNASCAR Road to Pro Qualifying Series on Thursday, since that takes the trucks over to Atlanta. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be watching those drivers, seeing what lines they use in order to be better prepared for their championship race next Monday night.
Rare is the case in Monday Night Racing where you get a track selection line up with where we head in real life, and that's exactly what we're going to have over the course of this week. And you make a good point, Taylor, that You can watch tomorrow night's Coke Series race, which iRacing will feature on their Twitch, their Facebook, and their YouTube at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for those curious. You can watch the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series that we'll have on the main Podium eSports Twitch channel at 9 p.m. on Thursday night. And both of those packages are pretty similar to one another. The truck package and the Cup Series package are not all that far removed from one another. And in that sense, these drivers are going to get a great amount of data that they can dig through and they can learn from and they can use to improve their lap times in advance of the championship race from Monday Night Racing presented by Tufco Flooring down in Georgia next Monday night.
It certainly is. Of course, I think a couple of drivers out in this field tonight will actually get some actual real-world experience also at Atlanta Motor Speedway as well. Drivers such as Preston Pardis, Anthony Alfredo, as well as Brian Vargas. So you got those drivers as well who will definitely be taking notes while they're at Atlanta as well to make sure that they have a chance to finish strong or even come home with a championship.
Look at the point standings one more time to make sure that you are clued in on who is where. And it is Preston Pardis and Max Kennan and Matt Stallneck. Those three are the ones we will be watching with an eagle eye tonight, maybe more so than the rest of the field. We'll also make sure to keep you all updated with the live point standings. You'll see those come in on the right side of your screen throughout the evening. We will keep you abreast of where your Championship 4 contenders are. Let's not forget, of course, that we do have Nick DeGroot and Anthony Alfredo and Will Rogers already in position if things hold. The question, of course, is whether or not things stay the same over the course of these 75 laps, which, given the way restarts can pan out here, yes, they can get spread out. Yes, we may see some green flag racing, but it can also go very sideways very quickly if we get a late green-white checker.
Certainly so, as we keep an eye on this here, as the qualifying is about to come to a close. I believe currently right now our provisional pole sitter is Ryan Vargas, who is just finished up his qualifying. I don't see anybody else out on track, so we are closing in on the end of qualifying.
Closing in the final 26 seconds of qualifying, and you get a preview there at your timing and scoring. We'll see if anybody tops him, but for now, the man who is going to claim the Beef Jerky Unlimited Pole Award is La Mirada, California's Ryan Vargas with the fast time as it sits, a 41.548, waiting for it to go official just to be safe, just to make sure. And indeed, it is the hometown man racing at his hometown racetrack who is going to lead us to the green. Fitting that as we get the chance to look at the rest of the starting grid. We'll see where your favorite driver will take off this evening. Vargas leads us to green with Max Kennan on his outside. That's a good qualifying run for a driver who needs one. Same for Gabe Wood, who has to win in order to have a shot at the championship 4. Raja Karuth in there, Preston Pardis, another one fighting for a spot in the championship 4, and Stephen Wilson in the first 3 rows. Taylor.
As we go a little further down, Gary Sexton returns to Monday Night Racing competition. He'll be starting on the inside of row number 4. Nick Sanchez and DJ Cummings, both of them recently eliminated. They will be in row 5, rounding out your top 10. Will Rogers, a driver who's trying to make sure he can have a shot in the final 4. He will be starting in 11th position.
Robbie Lyons, who's got some Truck Series experience, some Xfinity Series experience, is here. Brendan Beaudoin makes a return to Monday Night Racing as well. And David Shieldhouse, the Gamer Advantage machine, alongside Justin Melillo, carrying the Traction GG colors for the first time in his usual number 53.
There we have NASCAR Cup Series rookie Anthony Alfredo starting to way in the back, out in the 20th position. He's going to have a lot of work to do, along with Monday Night Racing Season 1 champion, defending champion Nick DeGroot, starting in 21st. Those two are going to have a lot of work to do tonight, James.
Devin Henry, the voice of the NPI Cup Series here on Podium eSports, is in the mix as well. Brett Baldeck is our Bryant Shock Technology in-race reporter. He'll start on the inside of row 13 in the 25th spot. The Steve Affont, Paul Sutton, Ron Capps, Drew Welker in the back as well. TJ Majors, Ron Capps, Drew Welker, right near the end of the starting grid. Time to take a look at the track facts and remind you all that this is Auto Club Speedway, which is located in Fontana, California. It's a 2-mile, 3.22-kilometer D-oval that opened in 1997. 14 degrees of banking in the turns here, 11 degrees of banking on the front stretch, 3 degrees of banking on the back stretch. If you take Michigan International Speedway and make it flatter, that is effectively what this racetrack is. Tonight we go for 75 laps, 150 miles, 241 kilometers. The instant time is, I guess, the day after the default day for iRacing, May 16th, 2021, right around 7 p.m. local time in Sim. It is currently 71 degrees Fahrenheit, air temp 72 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp, winds out of the north at 2 miles an hour, and humidity of 55%. Big race tonight, total Burris. 7 become 4 at the end of this.
It certainly is going to be probably a very important race for these 7 drivers who can come out on top and be guaranteed a chance to make it for Final Four. You know, we're getting ready to start March Madness for the NCAA, James. We're about to see a bunch of March Madness here for Monday Night Racing as we get ready to get our Final Four for next week.
We're glad you're with us here on Podium eSports as we bring you coverage of the Big Green Egg 150, the penultimate race of the season for Monday Night Racing. Live from out of California is Ryan Vargas to lead us to green alongside Max Kennan in the Moon Car Machine, who if those of you who are uninitiated on Twitch don't know Travis Brown, you'll know that he likes to call people to the line with a very particular green flag call that we'll leave for him. He's better at it than I ever could be. But we will go green flag racing here at Auto Club Speedway. And as we do, we now hold our moment of silence in memory of Brenna Eggert. Trouble in turn 4 to bring out the first yellow flag of the evening. Raja Karuth was the one that I saw go sideways, and a little bit of contact with another machine right at the end of this incident. We'll wait and see if we can get a replay and show you what happened, but looks like contact with Michael Massey ended it, and Karuth went sideways a little bit before then to start this. Taylor?
Yeah, it looks like Stephen Wilson just gave him a little bit of a tap right there in the middle of turns 3 and 4. And then, of course, we see Karuth get collected by a couple of other drivers.
slight contact, not a lot, to be fair. That's just people coming together and not really worrying about much. DJ Cummings had nowhere to go. I saw the 50 machine of Gabe Wood pick up some nose damage, so that'll be significant so far as the championship four-tail is concerned. A few other drivers going sideways in the back, but biggest issue, I think, is going to be all of the damage that Karuth will have to repair. He'll burn up his fast repair. And maybe the bigger issue now, Taylor, is what does Gabe Wood do knowing that he has to win this race?
Gabe Wood's got to do the exact opposite of everybody else in order to have a shot of winning this race to be guaranteed a spot in the final four. So whatever everybody else is doing, he needs to try and do the exact opposite. If everybody else pits, he may need to consider staying out, especially late in the going. If it's also drivers who decide to stay out, he may need to come down and take tires. That could be the winning maneuver for him to get a shot in the final four.
Could potentially be a very, very big move for him. As you look at some of the movement just within the first few laps, DJ Cummings has the damage, but he jumped up from 10th to 6th. How about David Schildhouse? Schildhouse on Twitch going up from 17th to 11th. Anthony Alfredo from 20th to 12th in his control Ford Mustang. Just really, really impressive stuff, but it also underscores how easy it is to move through the field if you have a fast car here at Auto Club, because you've got lanes to move. You've got room to race. This is not a place where you're going to get trapped behind somebody if you know you're faster.
Certainly so, and that's going to be very interesting to see these drivers who started towards the back and work their way up through the field. Also, you know, we have the draft a little bit in play. It's going to be a little bit more different than what we see at tracks like Daytona or Talladega, but you will utilize the slipstream in order to catch up to your opponents. That's why we will see these drivers go 3, 4, even 5 wide, not only with the draft, but also with the multi-grooves that we have here at Auto Club Speedway.
Also of notice, you see it under the yellow flag, one of the new additions to the build in iRacing over the course of the past week, leading the field. How about that brand new pace car? The first time iRacing has updated its pace car in a significant amount of time, and we now have the iRacing spec pace car that will lead the field to green, standard and default pace car on all ovals, that new machine.
Very interesting. Of course, we always appreciate what iRacing does when it comes out with new stuff. Of course, this entire recent build has been full of interesting updates for this 2021 Season 2 as we get ready to kick it off here this week. As the field is now going to be lined up double file, we are about to go back green flag racing here, James.
Over in 1 and 2, lots of additions in the new build of iRacing. We have a new super late model that gets updated to the Gen 6S bodies. That, I have to believe, is going to play some factor in Monday Night Racing at some point in the near future. The Hockenheimring, one of the all-time great tracks and one of Germany's fantastic circuits in iRacing for the first time. One of a handful of European circuits that will join the sim in the near future, and so much more to talk about. Also a new McLaren GT4 that you can use in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. You saw the lap points there on the right side of your screen. We'll bring that back up a few more times over the course of the evening so you can keep track of where your favorite driver is, but it is Max Kennan in control of the field and leading Ryan Vargas to the green flag, Taylor.
Yes, indeed, and we are about to go back green flag racing. Of course, Gabe Woods is going to be starting in the 6th position. Preston Pardis now inside the top 3 as well, so we're about to go back. Pace car makes the hard left turn down pit road. Green flag will be in the air.
Waiting for it, waiting for it. Max Kennan comes across the line, and we are green flag racing in Fontana once again. Good jump for the number 21 machine. Preston Pardis immediately, though, going to second with, shall we say, Ron Hornaday and Busch Series era inspired look in the number 90 car tonight. The outdoor channel scheme. That's what I haven't seen in a while.
It certainly is great to see some of the old throwback paint schemes that you can get here on Monday Night Racing. Of course, Preston Pardis from New Smyrna Beach, Florida, trying to battle Ryan Vargas as they'll go side by side together in the middle of turn 3 and 4. You see Pardis take the outside lane. Vargas tries to run that bottom lane, though, and might catch up to Max Kennan to take the lead, but won't make it work. Tries to slide job, won't work as well. He has to be careful. He almost got turned by Pardis.
Oh, Preston Pardis had to get on the brakes hard to make sure he didn't run Ryan Vargas over, and instead that that would have opened up the door for Nick Sanchez, but Sanchez is in a battle with Gary Sexton out of Hanover, Pennsylvania. He's going to try and follow in Partis's tire tracks to take over the 4th spot.
Trouble for Gabe Wood, one of our championship contenders. He is currently falling back all the way to 11th position right now, so he is definitely struggling with something with his number 50 Chevy Camaro as he is trying to run that outside groove. Everybody now trying to find the best lane that suits them.
Emphasis, though, on the best lane that suits them. Part as Gary Sexton clips the wall a little bit, but you've got 4 or 5 lanes that you can use to race here, Taylor. That's the most important piece to keep track of here. You can go just about anywhere on this racetrack and be okay.
You certainly can. I mean, we've seen drivers run right up against the wall, some right on that white line. Somewhere in between, we'll see other drivers take that line through as they rocket off turn 2 down the back straightaway here. As we'll keep an eye on the battle. This is a great shot for Dougie Beard as you see them coming right at you before they enter into turn 3 here. Watching some of the speeds right now, they're hitting speeds of close to 185 mile an hour before they have to back it down to about 160 in the middle of the corners.
All right, Vargas caught the fence. There goes Partis to the inside. David Schildhouse looking for somewhere to go and just doesn't have anywhere that he can go to try and make the move on any one of Partis or Vargas or any of these 3 as they go 3 abreast into turn 1 for 2nd place.
Well, even though we're not dirt racing, you wanted some of the best here on Monday Night Racing. Well, you had them 3 abreast now as they work their way down the back straightaway. Gary Sexton gets a big push right there from Preston Partis as they work down the back straightaway here. Ryan Vargas to the inside with help from Anthony Alfredo. He'll throw the block, though, as Sexton tries to get to the bottom.
Vargas got loose. Alfredo goes all the way downstairs, and Schildhouse is going to go to the middle, and they will all clear Ryan Vargas, who will go back to 6th and maybe further as he slides up just in front of Nick Sanchez to hang on to a spot in the top 10. Meanwhile, Gary Sexton is beginning to run down Max Kennan. We may have a battle for the race lead in short order.
Here they come down to the inside of the racetrack through turns 1 and 2. Sexton to the inside. The 21 of Kennan on the outside, side by side. They'll still remain. Sexton has the lead as they work down the back straightaway, but with the momentum on Kennan's side, he'll power back on through the outside of that 21 Moon Car Chevrolet. Down to the inside of turn 3 and 4. Gary Sexton tries to send it. Will he pull a slide job to get the race lead away from Kennan? Out of turn 4, new race leader is going to be Gary Sexton.
And so ends the spanking that the man sponsored by the man who owns Spanky was given on the field a few laps ago. Gary Sexton now to the point in the podium machine. David Schildhouse again to the bottom with plenty of speed. It's been a really impressive drive from the number 20 car. But Taylor, this is the kind of combo I think that really is Schildhouse's wheelhouse.
It certainly is. I mean, we've seen him perform so well when it comes to these tracks here. And you know what, James? This is probably a first to think about. We have a podium commentator and also one of our chief marketing podium members battling for the race lead as they come off turn 2 or turn 4.
Solid representation amongst the top 4 when you consider you've got a graphic designer, a commentator, and a league owner of a podium league, and Anthony Alfredo currently running in 3rd. Kennan's the first one who isn't sort of part of that group and sitting in 4th, but losing a little bit of time to these drivers. He's about 3/10 slower than the other 3 ahead of him. Sexton, Schildhouse, and Alfredo were all in the 42-1, 42-2 ballpark that last time by.
Certainly so. Right now, Anthony Alfredo has the fastest lap right now inside the top 10 as they work their way down into turn 3 and 4. Alfredo will go to the inside. The fast pasta trying to get around David Schildhouse. He will get 2nd for now, but I don't think he'll clear. Yes, he will. Pulls the slide job as contact between the 2.
Contact between the 2, but the yellow flag is out because Ryan Vargas has gone around in his number 6 machine, the Advanced Masonry and Concrete Chevy Camaro for JD Motorsports with Gary Keller. Got a bump from Nick DeGroot going down the straightaway, and I think DeGroot may have gotten some help from Nick Sanchez in the 96. That might have been a chain reaction incident going off of the 3.
Looks like it. I think Nick Sanchez was trying to give a big push to Nick DeGroot down the back straightaway. Didn't let off though enough before they entered into turn 3. Got DeGroot a little bit loose, and then there's the contact you'll see with him and Vargas.
A tough one there, but this is what you have to do here because you've got so many lanes. If you want to make sure that you maintain your track position on the outside, you've got to be aggressive when you slide up and get right in front of somebody. And every once in a while, some drivers behind you will push the envelope and give you a little nudge. Make sure they don't necessarily appreciate the blocking, or just try and push the issue to try and get you that extra tenth on a lap, which is, I think, what Nick Sanchez was trying to go for there. Just didn't quite come off well enough.
It was just a bad bump draft by the looks of it, trying to work together to get around Ryan Vargas, but you got to kind of let off before you get into these corners here. Otherwise, that's what's going to happen.
Everybody coming down pit road this time. Not a single car staying out from those who are in the line. Michael Massey's still trying to catch halfway up or around the racetrack, but he, I suspect, will probably come down pit road too. So we'll see if Gary Sexton can maintain his lead in the Podium eSports Toyota Supra. The number 13 car has looked strong in the opening few laps of this race, and he comes off his stall and is going to try and beat out Anthony Alfredo, but Alfredo with a fantastic pit stop to beat Sexton on pit road and take over the race lead.
What a pit stop indeed right there. In fact, it was a 14.6 pit stop compared to Gary Sexton's 14.3. So Alfredo was a little bit slower on the pit stop itself, but what the pit lane is where it counted the entire run, a 44.3 compared to Gary Sexton's 45 flat.
Also of note, within that last incident, Ryan Vargas was issued a warning for stopping on the racetrack deep in the fields. And, interesting to see what the interchange between race control and driver would be. I figure driver's argument is he was trying to hold the brakes. Race control's argument, something along the lines of, but you don't need to do that when you get dumped and you end up as far deep in the field as he did when he came back onto the racing surface. In either case, though, time for us to take a quick commercial break and then be back with more action from Monday Night Racing presented by Tufco Flooring. You're watching coverage of the Big Green Egg 150 from Auto Club Speedway on Podium eSports.
There's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated, where grilling traditions and new techniques are perfected. Here in Big Green Egg Country, you can grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Simple delight, easy to use, comes with a free lifetime warranty. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Shop online for home delivery at BigGreenEgg.com. That's BigGreenEgg.com.
Welcome back to Podium eSports coverage of the Big Green Egg 150 here from Auto Club Speedway. James Pike, Taylor Burris, and our producer Ryan Bauer bringing you all the action from Southern California in this, the penultimate race of Season 2 of Monday Night Racing. We are whittling our round of 7 down to our championship 4, and at the end of tonight, we'll know which 4 drivers are going to contest the Season 2 title of Monday Night Racing next week, which you can see on the Podium eSports Twitch channel with Adam Alexander, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip of Fox Sports on the call.
It's going to be exciting. I mean, we're talking about some of the biggest names in NASCAR broadcasting and in NASCAR Hall of Famer and a future Hall of Fame crew chief Larry McReynolds, and of course Adam Alexander, the voice of the Xfinity Series, which we're running here tonight. Is going to be exciting as we crown a Monday Night Racing champion.
Adam would be right at home, I think, calling this race as we go back to Green Flag Racing. Anthony Alfredo, the car out in front with that great pit stop, clears Gary Sexton and is clear of the field by about 2 or 3 car lengths as David Schildhaus tries to go underneath the 13 and take over the runner-up spot into turn 1.
Schildhaus tries to go to the inside, and both of them have fresh tires as they continue on their way. Gary Sexton, though, will prevail as Schildhaus gets a little loose, is able to recover nicely, slots back into third as here comes Max Kennan with a big run. He'll duck to the inside of David Schildhaus as they'll go side by side into turns 3 and 4. Kennan in the moon car will try to get in front, but is not quite clear as Schildhaus on the outside powers back with momentum.
Kennan went to the bottom to try and force Schildhaus up, and Schildhaus did a nice job of pinching but not completely shutting down the outside of the 21. Nice give and take between those two, but a yellow flag, an incident on the front straightaway towards the back of the field will bring out the yellow flag once again.
Looked like I saw Ryan Vargas involved in this one again, and it looked like Stefan Wilson, Nick DeGroot involved in this situation. The 11 also getting tagged to Steve Affont, Greg Stumpf. And we'll have to see how it all began. I believe it started around with Stephen Wilson and Vargas.
Just watching to see how this went. Yeah, it was Vargas. It was a little bit of contact there with, looks like De Groot got some help, I think, from Anders Krohn. Those two coming in and getting in trouble, and contact with Stephen Wilson in the mix, sliding way back there, and then the clip from the 11 machine going all the way around, but about 5 or 6 different cars in that incident. And most importantly, Taylor, Nick De Groot in trouble, one of our round of 7 contenders.
Certainly so, and that's going to be big implications for our defending champion as we watch him see collect going through the field and having major implications for him. We'll have to see what happens.
How much damage do you want to get repaired if you're the man from Syracuse, New York? Now, good news for Nick De Groot is that he does have the largest points buffer of any of the drivers in the round of 7. He came into tonight leading the points standings. So if he had to have a bad night, he could get away with it a little bit more so than everybody else. But there's still not that much room for error, because he would be 8 points shy of a place in the championship for if things ended as they do now. As you see some pit strategy from everybody there. Anthony Alfredo almost led the field down pit road and then decided not to. So while we circulate under the yellow flag, gives us the opportunity to bring in our Bryant Shock Technologies in-race reporter for the very first time, and fitting that we have a proper reporter for our BST in-race reporter tonight. It's Brett Baldeck, who works for the local Fox station in the Charlotte area, Fox 46 WJGY. And Brett, you were right on top of that wreck. How grateful were you to see all of that happening behind you in your rearview mirror and not in front of you?
I was extremely grateful. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly happened, but we were, I think, 20th there, racing like it was the last lap for the lead. I don't understand what happened there, but I couldn't go any higher. But it looks like, from my point, it was just too many cars in one space.
Now, for those who haven't had the chance to follow you on Twitter or see you online, or maybe see you on TV in the Charlotte area, what is the focus of your reporting with Fox 46, and how does it differ from maybe the standard race reporting that we see on weekends from the folks on FS1 and NBCSN?
So basically, they call me an enterprise reporter, so I can come in with pretty much any idea I want, and they usually 95% of the time will let me do it. So I just did a story, with Matt Tifft and the new race team before the season started. This week I'm doing a story with Ryan Vargas about his social media use. I just try and focus on some of the stories that aren't told that you won't see on the major networks. Met some great people. Honestly, the guys in the smaller teams are some of the nicest people I've met. So that's really what I focus on, is just kind of untold stories that you won't see in the mainstream.
So some of the sidebar stories and the bits and pieces that you wouldn't necessarily see on Fox Sports 1. And if people want to see more of these stories, more often than not, there's some video and an article that will accompany them on the Fox 46 website that people can go check out wherever they are, no?
Yeah, that's totally right. If you don't live in the Charlotte area, you can just go on fox46.com or follow me on Twitter. We always post the stories. But if you do live in Charlotte, you want to wake up bright and early, I get up at 4 a.m. I'm on TV from 6 to 9, so that's right. I have to get up at 4 a.m. after this race, if you heard me correctly. So if you're in Charlotte, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. I'll be a little bit tired, but always fun being on the morning show.
We'll keep our eyes peeled. Brett, we'll try and bring you in a few more times over the course of the broadcast, but thanks for the time, at least up to now, and we'll see you over the course of the race.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Brett Baldeck, reporter for Fox 46 WJZY. And yes, you can tune in to Good Morning Charlotte if you live in the proper Queen City, with all due respect for our Cincinnati friends. 6 to 9 in the morning on your local Fox stations in the Metrolina area, as Anthony Alfredo will bring us back to green flag racing on lap 22 of 75, nearly a third of the way through the race already. And Taylor Burris, the door-to-door action and 3 and 4 and 5 wide action that we usually see here at Auto Club, certainly not disappointing in this race. Green flag is out once again. Good restart for Anthony Alfredo. David Schildhouse trying to get a nose ahead of Gary Sexton, who is done everything he could to maintain second, but he didn't get a great restart, so Schildhouse will take over that second spot, and then third may well be Will Rogers fighting for a spot in the championship, or he'll slide up ahead of Max Kennedy to take over that fourth spot.
Will Rogers in the Space Station Gaming, number 55, trying to see if he can work his way to the outside. He's going to get a good run through the middle of turns 3 and 4, but here comes the 6 of Rajat Karuth back up through the field after involved in that lap 2 incident now. The two drivers are going to go side by side. Teammates now working together to see if they can get up to the race leader of Anthony Alfredo.
How about Rajat Karuth, by the way? You look at the two space station machines right there on your screen. Karuth's going to try and get the boss man, but you want to talk about using a faster pair to your advantage and getting up through the field? Look at the number 6 car go on the inside.
He certainly is. He's trying to work to the inside, but can't quite make slots back in behind his team boss, Will Rogers, as they work down the back straightaway here. Anthony Alfredo, though, has pulled a little bit about a 0.3 of a second gap, as now we're going to see 3 wide action now. Karuth to the bottom, Sexton to the middle, and then Will Rogers backs out of it, taking the top lane.
So Rogers will slide out of it, but he'll maintain that momentum on the high line, and he'll try and go 3 wide with Sexton, who nearly put him in the fence trying to block, but instead will make it 3 wide once again on corner entry, because this is Auto Club. That's what happens here. There goes Karuth down to the bottom. He'll try and pull off the slide job in front of Sexton, and he'll go all the way to the top side, and Will Rogers had to put the brakes on to make sure that he didn't run over his teammate.
He certainly did. I'm pretty sure Rogers might have had to say something to his team driver to make sure, hey, take it easy. Don't take me out in the process of you trying to pull a slide job like that. As they work down in the middle of turns 3 and 4, Sexton will pull a slide job on Karuth. Karuth crosses over. They're going to go side by side again for third.
Raja was ready for that. He wasn't going to have any of it either, so he'll go down to the bottom and I think should be able to slide up in front of Sexton as they enter the
contact.
Contact! There goes Will Rogers, and the 13 of Gary Sexton into the fence. Hard racing for about 5 laps. You figured somebody was going to end up over the line. Not a total surprise there, I think, to see the incident in turn 1, Taylor.
No, it certainly was not. As we watch the replay, Sexton tries to come up and throw the block. There you see Karuth trying to go to the crossover move. And then we see Will Rogers going to try and take it 3 wide again. There you see Justin Malilla there as well, almost getting away with this. And then you see there's the contact, Rogers and Sexton. And then Max Kennan and Preston Pardon. I'd like to get a replay on board with that. That was a little too close for comfort.
Preston Pardis, definitely with some skilled driving to avoid everything that happened in front of him. Great view on board the number 90 here. You'll just see the twist in the smoke. You don't even see the incident at all. And Max Kennan, too. Nice job from the 21 to not run over anybody and maintain a decently clean, fully clean race car, because that wasn't easy for him either. He almost ended up in the mess as well.
He certainly did, as we see here the contact between Rogers and Sexton. And it's, like I said, it's just a bad block right there for Gary Sexton. It's not quite clear of Will Rogers. And that's one of the things we're going to have to see here tonight later on in the show, especially when the racing gets closer to the end. We'll probably see some more drivers possibly trying to make blocks, and they're not clear.
Yeah, there will be drivers that will try and push the envelope and block as far as they possibly can, but if you don't have the faster pair you need to get your car fixed back up, it makes it all the more treacherous, I think, to maintain your track position, and it makes the risk reward of blocking so hard greater, which is why I wonder if you want to try and save that potentially and maybe wait for a little bit before you start blocking that hard, but we'll see. Keep our eyes on pit road as everybody comes around. Anthony Alfredo leading them back down for service one more time.
Certainly so, as the rest of the field makes their way into their pit box. Anthony Alfredo was the first down into his pit box, inside the top 3, as they go around and get the jacks down on his number 38 Ford Mustang. I see Preston Pardis has already been released. Here comes Anthony Alfredo with a 14.3 pit stop. Will he beat Karuth, Kennan, and Gabe Wood as they are now finishing up their pit stops? Karuth is released now first. It's going to be a drag race as DJ Cummings with a big gain of positions. He's going to be in third, but Rajat Karuth will win the race off pit road.
we finally are seeing some strategy here as we've got some drivers that took 2 tires, namely Cummings and Ford Martin, who came in for service. So those 2 presumably with fresh right side tires. Everybody else took 4, which makes this even more entertaining. Ron Capps, I think, is going to come down pit road. He also a Californian, so he's riding at home here in SoCal. We'll see whether or not he cycles around to the race lead. If not, then I believe it's Raja Karut who goes to the front.
Of course, Ron Capps just got done with the season opener of the NHRA with the Gator Nationals happening over the weekend, so able to head on over now to the virtual Auto Club Speedway here in California in his hometown and seeing if he can be able to get a good run in that number 28 Tufco flooring Chevrolet.
Looks sharp as well in that race as we now remind you that tonight's broadcast of Monday Night Racing is brought to you by Max Pappas Innovations, who once again are giving away a $25 gift card to the winner of tonight's race. MPI is the world's premier manufacturer of steering wheels and was founded in 2009 by Max and Tatiana Pappas in Mooresville, North Carolina. MPI takes every aspect of construction and safety to heart to build their products in the most accurate and dedicated way possible. MPI partners have claimed 13 NASCAR championships, 4 World of Outlaws championships, 2 IndyCar titles, 2 Australian Supercars titles, and 1 NHRA championship. MPI, shaped by a racer for the best racers. Find out more at maxpappasinc.com. As we get ready to go back green flag racing, worth noting that TJ Majors is in the field, and for all of us at Podium eSports, this is a special day. It's the 1-year anniversary of the Replacements 100 that TJ and his good friend Kevin Hamlin organized back at the very opening weekend of the pandemic proper here in the United States. It featured all sorts of stars, all sorts of drivers from across the NASCAR industry, and at the time set a new record for the largest iRacing stream ever, and still to this day, the largest independent iRacing stream of all time with an average of about 20,000 live viewers. It was the broadcast that changed the way people looked at sim racing broadcasts and inspired the eNASCAR Pro Invitational Series, which will return later on this month, starting with the dirt at Bristol Motor Speedway on Fox Sports 1. So lots of fun to keep note, but definitely one day that we at Podium eSports hold very close to us as Ron Capps does stay out, and he'll bring us back to green flag racing.
Ron Capps with a little bit of strategy himself. He's going to try to hold on as a hard-charging Rajah Caruth and DJ Cummings are going to do battle as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. Capps holds the middle lane, tries to make sure he goes to the top side of the racetrack. Caruth can't really get a good run as Cummings to the inside as we see Ford Martin, Will Rogers, and Anthony Alfredo go 3 wide down the backstretch.
Big wreck. Oh, Ron Capps gets turned into DJ Cummings down the front straightaway, and the yellow flag comes out. I almost wonder if that might have been the result of the yellow flag coming out just before they started going around up front. I wonder if Capps decided to slow down because he saw the yellow, and then that's where Caruth and company got in trouble. But still, the 28 hard into the outside wall, and Caruth with a little bit of damage I saw in that too.
Certainly so, yeah. I think that might have been Gabe Wood who might have been involved in that incident, as we see then the incident of Ron Capps and DJ Cummings, who were just trying to keep up and make sure they follow the rules with the caution, but then, of course, that happens with those 2 drivers. So unfortunate, but I believe Gabe Wood might have been the original reason for this caution we saw here, as we can get a replay of what happened. Oh, yeah, he was trying to avoid a spin that was in front of him and collect Stephen Wilson. I think the person who originated that spin.
Max Kennan did the 21 machine. Yeah, Max Kennan goes sideways, just a little bit too much gas on corner exit. He gets loose, spins it off to the apron, and then Wood tried to check up while he was avoiding Kennan, worried that Kennan may cross himself up, come back up the racetrack, but instead just got on the gas too hard himself and collected Stephen Wilson, like you said, Taylor.
Unfortunate for one of our championship contenders who just made his night a lot more difficult here, as that is 2 drivers who are in the championship who have been involved in incidents here tonight.
Nick DeGroot and Gabe Wood, and Wood I think is now out of fast repairs, so he will have a very tough road to climb if he wants a shot at the race victory and a spot in the championship for this evening. You see the live points on your screen. He is out. Max Kennan is out. Nick DeGroot still in trouble, though DeGroot has been hanging out back, and now I think he may end up using his fast repair. He's got damage from an earlier incident, but DeGroot still with time to charge and come back and fix up the gap.
Certainly so. We'll keep an eye and see what happens. But with all that going on, Anthony Alfredo, Will Rogers now back up towards the front of the field with that incident. And then, of course, TJ Majors, Ford Martin, and Matt Stolneck round out your top 5. Justin Malillo, I got to give good credit and shout out to. He's been running inside the top 10 for the most of this race here today, putting on a great show in that number 53 Ford Mustang, of course, with the Traxion sponsor. So a great job for him from Long Island, New York, as he gets ready to kick off his racing here. And of course, a league owner in his own right, with owning several leagues here on the iRacing service.
Justin, one of the ones who also took part in the small flurry of replacements anniversary festivities, tweeted out the original report of that race, which I think can't be understated. It was something where up to that point, not too many people had tuned in to sim racing broadcasts outside of those of us who have been around the community for a long time. And then you end up with a situation like that. It created a perfect storm, Taylor, where the entire motorsports world was watching on that Sunday. And it proved to everybody that these sorts of broadcasts can be done at a national level, and the idea of broadcasting sim racing at a national level can work. And then later on in the spring did, when the Pro Invitational Series went to Fox.
It certainly is. And you know, James, it also shows that, as we'll even have next week, even broadcasters who've never really done esports commentary can actually do well and learn a lot from this, and also apply it to when they go and call actual races. So this is very interesting to see how these drivers and people utilize the virtual world and in conference to the real world here that we've seen over the past year.
It is amazing to think how much all of this has advanced in the past year. You go back to this time 1 year ago, and it was a major deal just to have drivers in a big broadcasted race like that. Now you turn around a year later, and it will be a largely TV-level Fox booth next week that you see in the season finale for Monday Night Racing. Adam Alexander, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip, all going to be there. And I don't think that's something that we could have even imagined or expected at this time in 2020, but it just took one big example like the Replacements 100 to show everyone what people were capable of when you give them the chance, and what the sim racing community is capable of. It's something where I don't know if we really understand the full legacy of just how important that race was to iRacing, to sim racing, to the motorsports community in the country yet. I think that's something we'll get the chance to learn about as time progresses. But I think there's no doubt in my mind that if you look at one race that changed everything for everybody in this community, you can point back to the Replacements 100 and say that was the one. That was the 1979 Daytona 500 race that completely grabbed everybody by surprise and started a phenomenon.
Certainly was. Of course, James, you were on call for that. I was there, was helping with the social media on that matter. So it's such an amazing honor to be a part of that history and seeing the trend upward for esports and virtual racing here on the iRacing service.
Should be a lot of fun to see how the real world and the sim racing connections blossoms in the weeks, the months, the years to come. Obviously, the Pro Invitational Series is coming back, not only with NASCAR, but the iRacing IndyCar Challenge is going to kick off this week, too. They're going to go just where we were last week, to the second Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. And I have a feeling that should be a very entertaining race. There's so much coming up, though, in the next week. We've got the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series from Atlanta. We've got the eNASCAR Road to Pro Qualifying Series from Atlanta. We've got DSCCS, PCA, MPI Cup Series, and then the championship for Monday Night Racing. So we'll go through it in a little bit more detail later on in the broadcast, Taylor, but safe to say you will not want to miss this week in iRacing because it is a huge week with tons of events.
It certainly is, James. And I mean, if you want to make sure, just make sure you set a reminder for each of those times when we go over it again. But right now, we have a race to make sure we can bring home great results here as we're now back green flag racing. Anthony Alfredo leads them to the green. Will Rogers, TJ Majors, and Ford Martin now working down the front straightaway as TJ Majors with a head of steam behind Rogers.
TJ Majors looking to the bottom and looking maybe up top. Now, I thought that for a moment Rogers was going to stay high, but Rogers will hit the apron, then slide back up, take the normal line here at Auto Club. Majors is going to have to fight off Ford Martin from the inside, and look at Justin Malillo with all that experience. We know that the man in the FTF Grand National Series has got plenty of seat time with these high horsepower, low downforce machines, and maybe not a shocker then that Malillo's got a top 10 run going at the moment.
He may be a reporter and a broadcaster as he scrapes the wall, but he is one heck of a driver here on the iRacing service, as David Schildhouse and Robbie Lyons will go to the inside of him as they work their way down the front straightaway here. You know, one thing, James, I wish that they still had is that large speedometer Tron over there at the entrance of turn 1, where you could see the speed and get a feel of how fast these cars are going.
The Scandinav Auto Club has been around for a long enough time in iRacing that it actually predates that speed clock that you're talking about over in turn 1. The gigantic, I believe it was the Toyota speed counter, if we're going to be technical, that just plastered all over that turn 1 fence and made it pretty impressive. When you look at some of those speeds, you see 3 digits and a 2 leading them off more often than not when you sail it off into turn 1. Pretty impressive across the board. And just out of curiosity, for those wondering, Anthony Alfredo topping out at 189 miles an hour by the time he got over to turn 1 that last time by.
Certainly so, and as they work their way off turn number 2 down the back straightaway, Anthony Alfredo has broken away from the lead draft right now, has a half a second lead over Will Rogers as they work down the back straightaway. A couple of drivers going to go take it 3 wide. TJ Majors, Ford Martin, and Nick Sanchez shot out of a cannon in the bottom of the racetrack.
Nick Sanchez just tried to pull the slide job of all slide jobs in 3 and 4 that last time by. He just couldn't hold it in front of TJ Majors it up. So here comes the 22 to the inside of Sanchez, who tried to pinch down the Pennzoil Ford Mustang. Ford Martin to the inside of both of them. And Preston Pardish waiting to see who wins this battle and which driver is the right one to go with to try and jump up into the top 5 himself.
Ooh, contact between TJ Majors and Nick Sanchez. David Schildhouse, Justin Malillo gets collected. Ryan Vargas and more. That's DJ Cummings in the 10 also getting collected in the incident.
Big incident over in turn 2 to bring out the yellow flag once again. And same sort of thing between the Sexton Rogers incident earlier and this one. Hard racing starts it all off again. This time it was TJ Majors and Nick Sanchez that made contact.
Tough break for those two drivers, of course. TJ Major Spider for Joey Logano, who finished second at Phoenix this past weekend. Nick Sanchez raced in the Arc Menard Series at Phoenix also over the weekend as well, coming home with a good finish. So a tough break for them here in Monday Night Racing.
And a tough break for Ryan Vargas, too. I think he's out of fast repairs in this one. I don't know if anybody else in that incident is down and out of fast repairs, but at this point, we're starting to see the attrition pick up. I think David Schildhouse should be okay. That's the first time he's been caught up in a wreck, but Ryan Vargas in the 6 machine, I suspect, may be done for the evening.
Tough break for the NASCAR Xfinity Series driver as he was having a strong run in the beginning, but unfortunately, as we'll see on board with him on that number 6, had nowhere to go as he gets collected by Malillo.
Just so tough, I think, when you have an incident like that and you got cars, those initial first 5 seconds where they are spinning everywhere, and you know eventually that it will all come back down to the inside, but there are still those initial few moments where you've got cars spinning to the wall, cars spinning to the inside, and you don't necessarily know where you need to go.
Certainly so, and that's one of the things very critical for drivers. And we have noticed that here in the Monday Night Racing, we have a couple of people who have live spotters with them in order to help them out as best that they can. Drivers such as Anthony Alfredo has Briar LaPrade helping him out. Gabe Wood has Case Kallenbach helping him out as well. These drivers try to utilize live spotters to help give them a little bit more information and trying to avoid these wrecks here. And unfortunately for some, they just had nowhere to go.
Anthony Alfredo with a good stop. He suspects he will win the battle off in pit road unless somebody tries to pull some pit strategy. But How about it? Raja Caruth hanging out there? Nope. Nope. Take that back. Anthony Alfredo. I thought Caruth had gone for a fuel stop, but instead it's Alfredo who will win the battle off of pit road. Caruth is going to stay out with the damage and the slightly old tires, but not excessively worn tires. Only 6 laps on his Goodyear Eagles, and Stephen Wilson as well. Only 8 laps on his tires. So those two staying out trying to take advantage of the track position, and I think in both cases hope for a quick yellow to pit from the front.
Certainly so right now as we get ready to finish up these pit stops and everyone rejoins the track, as we have to make sure that everyone's trying to get themselves situated in here. But unfortunate for a lot of these drivers here, Nick Sanchez has taken it behind the wall. His night is done along with Ryan Vargas. DJ Cummings, he's now 2 laps down and probably going to be out of the race here tonight.
We'll take a quick commercial break one more time, but don't go anywhere. We'll have more action from Auto Club or Speedway and the Big Green Egg 150 coming up. You're watching Monday Night Racing presented by Tufco Flooring on Podium eSports.
We are an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. We don't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach to flooring, and neither should you. When you choose Tufco, we consult with you about your needs, industry requirements, and factor in numerous variables. After assessing your facility, we engineer your floor and drains, then install everything ourselves. That's the Tufco way.
Visit our website at tufcoflooring.com.
Welcome back to Podium eSports coverage of the Big Green Egg 150, the penultimate race of Season 2 for Monday Night Racing. James Pike, Taylor Burris, and our producer Ryan Bauer with cameras provided to Podium by Dougie Beard, bringing you all of the action this evening. We are sent for a restart on lap 40 of 75, and if they manage to make it a few more laps, we'll go ahead and run through the midway race break. But given the way this has panned out, Taylor Burris, I'm not necessarily convinced that we're going to get to the midway race break before we get another yellow.
It's safe to say that it's probably going to be a true fact right there, JP, as we watch and see these drivers go 2 by 2 to get ready for the restart. You got to calm down just a little bit, especially drivers such as Will Rogers, Anthony Alfredo. They are trying to steer clear of the problems that happen around them. That's why they're up towards the front of the field. But still, they're now in the middle of the pack now. They have to be careful what's going on behind them. Same thing with Preston Pardis as well. As the green flag is out, Stephen Wilson leads him to the green.
Stephen Wilson on the gas pedal. Back to green flag racing we go. Caruth's got the damage on the front end, so you figure Alfredo's going to make a move quickly, and he does. To the inside he goes on the Space Station Gaming driver, but there's another one up top, and Will Rogers who's trying to make some moves, and look at Alfredo go right in front of both of them. You could maybe fit a sheet of paper between the 6 and the 38, but Alfredo makes it stick. Move Alfredo to P2.
He certainly does. He gone from the bottom of the racetrack all the way to the top flight now, as here they go side by side. Rogers and Alfredo. Preston Pardis watches on as he'll get around Raja Caruth off of turn number 2, as we have a black flag for Raja Caruth, a restart violation going into the inside lane before crossing the line.
Changing lanes before crossing the start-finish line on the restart. So Caruth will have to come down pit road and serve a black flag. Meanwhile, Anthony Alfredo now trying to get after Stephen Wilson, but Will Rogers is beginning to fall in line and reel in both of them.
He certainly is right now, as Will Rogers now gets passed by Preston Pardis. So move Pardis up to 3rd. How about Stephen Wilson, involved in that lap 2 incident with Caruth and now still leading? But as I say that, here comes Anthony Alfredo and Preston Pardis to take over the race lead, as Alfredo will slide up in front. Stephen Wilson can't quite get clear of Pardis, as Pardis is trying to find a way to sneak through. He almost just shuts the door on Stephen Wilson, as Wilson will push him through 1.
Just about put it right in front of his face, but Alfredo and Pardis now to 1st and 2nd, so onus now is on Will Rogers to make a move, as Alfredo's tried to slide up in front of Pardis, and Pardis read that beautifully. He knew exactly what Alfredo was going to do and went right to the inside of the 38 to try and get the race lead away entering turn 3.
Chevy versus Ford. Pardis to the inside, Alfredo on the top side. They're working their way through turns 3 and 4. Preston Pardis, your new race leader, as he works his way down out of turn 4. Anthony Alfredo trying to keep pace with him, but right now cannot make it work as Preston Pardis goes to the bottom of the racetrack.
How about the performance from the drivers fighting for a spot in the championship 4? You've got 3 of your top 4 in points running 1, 2, 3 on the racetrack right now. The problem for Nick DeGroot, he's all the way back in 15th. He's the other one that came into tonight with the spot in the championship 4 entering the evening, and right now 5 points to the good of Max Kennan, the 21 machine who currently runs in 7th. So if things hold for the group, he hangs on to 15th. Kennan would need to be right here with the race leaders in order to have a shot at victory, or even just making the championship 4 outright.
He's currently running in 7th right now, so he has a good shot to work his way a little further up the field right now. But meanwhile, back up towards the front of the field, side-by-side battle for the race lead. Alfredo to the bottom. Pardis on the outside as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. Alfredo goes to the bottom of the racetrack while we see Preston Pardis right up against the wall off turn 2. Anthony Alfredo will lead them, but will Pardis try the crossover move off turn 2? The answer will be yes. He will try to go to the inside, side-by-side, once again for the race lead.
It's what you have to do if you're Pardis in order to maintain your momentum, but more importantly, it's going to drag anybody behind you running their own race into this fight, and that's exactly what's happening with Will Rogers and that 55 for Space Station Gaming. You see him right in the center of your screen, and he was maybe about 4 or 5 car lengths back in this battle for the lead. Make it 1, maybe nothing, as they come back to the stripe to complete lap 45.
Here comes Will Rogers to the inside of Preston Pardis. The 2 drivers will do battle here once again as they go down to the bottom of the racetrack. Rogers trying to go for 2 as they go off of turn number 2. He wants to lead this race here at Auto Club.
Won't get the lead, though, from Alfredo. Might be able to take second away from Pardis, though. Also, Ford Martin hanging out. Did a nice job, did Ford, take advantage of track position and a nice, well-timed 2-tire pit stop to get back in for 4 tires. A few laps later, that allowed him to leapfrog a good chunk of this field as 2 cars, 3 cars go around in the back. Caution out of turn 4, and Max Kennan in the 21 is one of the cars involved. Heavy damage to your round of 7 playoff driver, and that might be championship 4 hopes over for Kennan, who just managed to clip Stephen Wilson in the 25. Wilson made contact with the 41 of Matt Stallnecht, and there was just nothing poor Max Kennan could have done. He had nowhere to go.
Certainly did not right there. As you'll see, the contact, Gary Sexton is involved. The 49 of Brendan Madonia also gets involved in this incident here. So a tough break for several drivers who are having some decent runs here tonight.
TJ Majors got a good piece of that. Stephen Wilson slammed the fence. Nick DeGroot just managed to get through this. Not by a lot, but enough to keep his playoff hopes alive. And at this point, it very much feels like that kind of race for DeGroot, who's got his car fixed up very nicely after the incident he had to deal with earlier. And now, after Kennan looked so strong earlier in this race, Taylor, I wonder if DeGroot might be in a little bit better position than the 21 machine at the closing stages of this race.
Well, as long as this DeGroot can keep it clean for the rest of this race from here on out, he definitely might have a shot. But with how things have been going for our playoff contenders here tonight, expect the unexpected. So be prepared and see what happens if Nick DeGroot can survive these closing laps.
They'll come down pit road. We'll see who wins the battle off and whether or not Anthony Alfredo can maintain his race lead. He's done. Wasn't the fastest of stops, though, for the number 38. Certainly, I think, would be vulnerable to losing the race lead coming off for service. And as they come out, how about it? Preston Pardis is going to be able to take the lead away from Alfredo.
I think maybe Will Rogers, Preston Pardis, Anthony Alfredo are going to be the ones to watch here for this race. These 3 have been some of the strongest cars all night since the drop of the green flag. And how about Anders Carone now? After getting involved in that early caution in the middle of the race, he's now sitting in a 7th position and with a new race car. So keep an eye and see what he can do tonight.
We'll keep our eye peeled on the 11 machine. But as it stands, it's time to go through the field and bring you tonight's iRacing Midway Race Break. which as always is brought to you by the world's premier online racing game, iRacing. Let's put you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in Australian supercars, IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, the World of Outlaws, and more. As Anthony Alfredo is going to be third here, because it's actually Will Rogers who wins the battle off of pit road ahead of Preston Pardus. Alfredo in third, all three of them in the championship four. Gabe Wood running in fourth. He needs to win to have a shot in making next week's championship. Ford Martin, who runs in fifth. Robbie Lyons currently holds the sixth spot. Seventh to Anders Krohn. Steve Affont in eighth. Ninth is Mark Rabilis, and Nick DeGroot currently runs in 10th.
In the 11th position is Devin Henry, followed by Covey Moore in 12th. Justin Malillo is 13th, with our in-race reporter Brett Baldeck in 14th. Max Cannon, a championship contender, having a tough break right now, in 15th. Michael Massey in 16th. Gary Sexton sits 17th, with Ron Capps 18th. Paul Sutton sits 19th. Rounding out your top 20, Raja Karuth.
Drew Welker runs to the 21st spot. 22nd belongs to Brendan Bedonia. Matt Stolnick holds 23rd, and TJ Majors getting his damage fixed up. He's 24th. Stephen Wilson is in the 25th spot. 26th to Greg Stump. David Schildhouse, Nick Sanchez, Ryan Vargas, and DJ Cummings, your final four cars. And that concludes tonight's iRacing Midway Race Break. With over 170,000 drivers on the service and over 90 laser scan tracks and cars to choose from, iRacing is your portal to the racing world. Get on track today at iRacing.com. Will Rogers is your race leader. Lights are still on the pace car, though, so we'll see how much fun we can have here over the next 25 laps or so, Televerse, but we're absolutely in for one.
We certainly are. I mean, we have some of our strongest competitors up towards the front of the field. We have a driver who is desperate to get into the Final Four here for the Monday Night Racing Season Championship. We have Ford Martin up there trying to see if he can get himself a win. I mean, we have a lot of storylines here going in these final 25 laps when we get that green flag here.
We'll keep our eyes peeled and see how it goes, but we'll take a quick break. You're watching Monday Night Racing on Podium eSports.
Matt's Pappas Innovations provides the best wheels for the best drivers. At MPI, we take every aspect of construction and safety to our heart in the most accurate and dedicated way possible. Before becoming an MPI product, our structures need to pass an internal quality control test. Our goal has been to apply our experience and knowledge to produce a state-of-the-art product for the racing community. MPI is a part of multiple champions across all of motorsports, including 13-time NASCAR champions, World of Outlaw champion, IndyCar, NHRA, and V8 Supercar. MPI, shaped by a racer for the best racers.
Back here at Auto Club Speedway for the Big Green Egg 150 on Podium eSports, the penultimate race of the season for Monday Night Racing. James Pike, Jay LaBerge, Ryan Bauer here from the virtual Southern California Speedway. And we are going to extend the yellow flag. Looks like some drivers couldn't quite get their wave rounds completed in time. And we are going to run under the yellow for one more lap to get everyone scored properly, Taylor.
Certainly so. That just builds the excitement, the anticipation as we get ready to come to a close here for tonight's Monday Night Racing. Of course, this is the final race before we head to the championship for 7 drivers battling it for those 4 coveted spots in Monday Night Racing Season 2 championship contention.
As we take a moment to remind you all that tonight's broadcast of Monday Night Racing is brought to you by Big Green Egg. With the Big Green Egg, versatility is the name of the game. You can grill, roast, smoke, bake, and sear on the all-in-one, simple-to-use Big Green Egg. Between appetizers, entrees, and desserts, the Big Green Egg will exceed all your expectations. With 7 convenient sizes and a limited lifetime warranty, there's a Big Green Egg to fit any lifestyle. Don't forget to watch Michael Guest drive the number 9 Big Green Egg Ford Mustang in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series for Jim Beaver Esports. And listen to Big Green Egg's Cooks and Cars podcast on Saturday mornings on their social media platform. Race on over to BigGreenEgg.com for more information and to find your nearest dealer today. Will Rogers, Preston Pardus, your front row. Pardus is your leader, but he has chosen the outside lane for this restart as the sun sets over the San Bernardino Mountains, which provide a picturesque backdrop to racing here at Auto Club Speedway. This track looks pretty spectacular in sunset, and you see all sorts of colors in the sky: golds, blues, navies, oranges, what have you. Should be an equally colorful finish to this next to last race of season 2 from Monday Night Racing. Will Rogers brings us back under the green flag as we come to lap 52 of 75. Good jump for the 55 machine. He'll be clear of Pardis by maybe 2 or 3 car lengths as Anthony Alfredo slots in line. And how about Gabe Wood, who was in trouble very early on in this race, has to win to make the championship 4, but he's right where you want to be if you're in his situation, right off the deck lid of the top 4 drivers and in the mix for a race win.
He certainly is right now as Will Rogers starts to pull away by about 2 car lengths over Preston Pardis. Gabe Wood, though, he's got a big head of steam down the back straightaway heading into turns 3 and 4. He's going to go to the top side of the racetrack to try and see if he can make up ground, but here comes Pardis. Alfredo as they gain ground on race leader Will Rogers. Off of turn 4 they go. Now less than a car length separate the top 3 as they work down across the start-finish line here. 24 laps to go.
Final third of the race, we enter 3 cars completely on top of one another, and Gabe Wood beginning to flex his muscles. He is down the faster pair, so I think that's worth noting, but if he can keep that 50 machine clean, he's got a shot to the outside of Alfredo. He goes for that 4th position.
Side by side, Gabe Wood, Anthony Alfredo trying to do battle here for 3rd. Here they come. They're going to throw Preston Pardis and Will Rogers in. We're almost trying to take it 4 wide for the race lead as they come off turn 4. It's now going to go back to 2 wide for 3rd. Robbie Lyons, Ford Martin look on as Anders Carones also is in the mix. We could have a 7-car battle for the race lead here momentarily.
Could potentially, especially if these top 4 continue to fight it out. It'll drag Lyons and Martin and Crone and company all into this fight. And that's exactly what's happening. Robbie Lyons last time by was a 10th faster than the leaders, as was Gabe Wood. And as they begin to trickle into line, everybody's sort of sticking up near the wall and trying to run that high line, but there's certainly opportunities down low if you know what you're doing to make the pass. And there goes Alfredo to the bottom to try and get a spot away from Pardis.
Hashtag send it down to the inside. Alfredo's going to try to see if he can pull the slide job off turn 4. Answer is going to be not quite enough. Will Rogers still has the nose on Anthony Alfredo. Side by side for the race lead at the line. Alfredo will lead it, but Rogers will now try to poke his nose out for the race lead as they enter over into turns 1 and 2. Pardis trying to give a big push to Rogers.
He couldn't quite clear Will Rogers, but he drew alongside him, and that in and of itself was very impressive so far as I'm concerned. Alfredo's going to go up high now, and he will take the lead away momentarily from Will Rogers, who will answer by going to the inside of the 38, and he will try and clear Anthony Alfredo with a big dive into turn 3 himself. Here comes Gabe Wood to the inside looking for a spot.
Gabe Wood, 3 wide battle for 2nd place. Alfredo on the top, Pardis in the middle, and Gabe Wood on the bottom of the racetrack, side by side for 2nd still between those 3 drivers as they now start to get a little bit of separation. Alfredo will get 2nd place. The battle is for 3rd between Wood and Pardis as they now see Alfredo go to the top side. Slight contact for 3rd.
Alfredo goes high. He'll keep the motor wound up, carry the momentum there. And can Will Rogers get in front of Anthony Alfredo before they get back to the back straightaway? He tried and he just couldn't quite make it. So Alfredo now has that preferred groove on the high line and the track position, and he should be able to clear Rogers, you would think. But big send from Rogers down into 3 and 4.
We've got to be careful with watching these big sends down to the bottom of the racetrack as they watch him. Gabe Wood gets contacted. He's got to go through the grass now. Will he go into the crack? He hits the crack a little bit more right there as he tries to work his way up back onto the track. But for Gabe Wood, he's still sliding through the grass, looping it around. He's got to try to hold the brakes. He's not on the racing line, so no caution is out. But a big implication for him.
Disastrous for Gabe Wood, who had to win this race to make the championship 4 and had the track position to be a factor, and all of a sudden is completely out of the picture and needs a caution to get back into it. Meanwhile, Alfredo back to the inside for the race lead.
Anthony Alfredo back up front, doing what he has been doing for a majority of the season, leading races and winning them, looking to pick up another Monday Night Racing season win here at Auto Club. As they work down the front straightaway now, it's a battle for 2nd between Rogers and Pardis. The battle for 4th also heating up between Crones and Lyons as Andrew Crones moves up to 4th. He wants more. He's going to go side by side with Rogers for 3rd.
Good battle between the front four here. How about Robbie Lyons? We've not called his name all that much tonight, but Robbie's been the beneficiary of this battling between the top three, top four drivers. As Lyons is right there on the rear bumper of the 11, and Ford Martin too. Martin, who had that great call to get 2 tires and then got 4 tires a handful of laps later when we got successive yellow flags. He's right there too and might have a shot at this.
He certainly is, as they're getting a little too close for comfort right there. Anders Krones and Will Rogers, as they're trying to stay off of each other, but battling for that 3rd spot. Robbie Lyons, Ford Martin watches on as they go side by side into turns 1 and 2. Here comes Anders Krones. He gets a nose out in front of Rogers and might try to go for Pardis for 2nd, but not yet. He still can't quite make the pass complete.
Alfredo, Pardis, Krones trying to fight Rogers, who's got the high line. Robbie Lyons is there. Ford Martin is there. The top 6 essentially have broken away from the field and are racing in their own ballpark. Though Max Kedden has got the high line rolling. He's got Nick DeGroot right behind him, and he is not totally out of this, especially if we get another yellow flag.
Certainly so, but he's got a lot of work to do right now and be prepared that there might not be a yellow. He needs to keep pushing forward to try to make up ground. He's about 2 seconds back from the back bumper of Ford Martin, so he has work to do. Meanwhile, back up front, you see Rogers go to the inside of Preston Pardis. Can't quite make it work. Anders Krones now will fill the hole.
Off he goes as Alfredo is there, Pardis is there, Krones is there, Rogers is in the mix down to the inside. He goes to the 11 machine and tried to get a good run, but the 11 kept the motor wound up, and the Old Spice Chevy Camaro is going to go all the way up to the fence and then some and make it stick. Good move there to hold on to P3.
He certainly does as they work their way down the front straightaway. Anders Krones really doing a phenomenal job. I think this is one of his first few starts that he's had in Monday Night Racing right now, as he's trying to work his way up to 2nd to get around Preston Pardis.
Pardis, they're settling into that 2nd groove, running maybe a lane lower than Anthony Alfredo, who's got control with the control car. And no, not the control car restart, the actual control supplement machine in front there. So we're not trying to joke here. It is the partnerships that Anthony's got. And I have a feeling that we're going to see him on one of his Front Row Motorsports number 38 machines in a while. And he's been very big about promoting their product over the course of the last few weeks on social media.
Well, hopefully no Control-Alt-Delete situations happen for Anthony Alfredo as he tries to control the race lead now. Here they go side by side, almost for the race lead, as here comes Anders Krones now for 2nd on Preston Pardis.
Krones will slide into P3. Preston Pardis is there and will try and run down Alfredo, but we are beginning to see pace settle out on a long green flag run. We've not had these drivers spaced out all that much, but as it stands, they are finally beginning to find a gap as Pardis went way high on the exit of 4. That allows the 11 machine to get down to the bottom and potentially take away P2.
He certainly is, as he will get 2nd position away from Preston Pardis. Down through turns 1 and 2 he goes, and now he sets his sight on Anthony Alfredo for the race lead. Keep an eye on those two battling. They are running close, similar lap times. A 6:06 for Alfredo, a 6:59 for Krones, as they try to see if they can work together. Here comes Pardis with a push to Krones.
As this race for the lead continues to wage on, we'll take a moment to lay back and we'll let you see some of the sights and listen to some of the sounds of Monday Night Racing at Auto Club Speedway. Anthony Alfredo still in control of this Big Green Egg 150, but Anders Krohn, the former Indy Lights driver, is in there. And a shame we didn't get to hit on it earlier when Stephen Wilson was racing at the front, but if you recognize that Old Spice machine from somewhere, you're not crazy, because that is actually the scheme that Cal Naughton Jr. drove in the movie Talladega Nights when he was teammate to a certain Ricky Bobbitt. Wonder Bread machine you saw Stephen Wilson's car earlier, Ricky Bobby's car. So you can say that Anders and Stephen did try to bring the shake and bake, no doubt, tonight.
They certainly did try to bring the shake and bake, and I think we see Anders as going to continue to try to bring the shake and bake here, as he will battle for the race lead for Anthony Alfredo as they dive into turn one side by side for the race lead. Anders Krohn might try to pull it off and pull the slide job on Anthony Alfredo.
As Krohn fights for the race lead, we remind you all that tonight's broadcast of Monday Night Racing is brought to you by Tufco Flooring, an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. Tufco doesn't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach, and neither should you. Tufco listens to your needs and requirements and develops custom solutions for every client. For more information, visit their website at tufcoflooring.com, as Anders Krohn has gone to the front around Anthony Alfredo and had a 10th on the 38 car last time by. And how about this for a story if he can go to victory lane on debut in Monday Night Racing?
Talk about an upset. This would prevent anyone from locking in with a win for this entire round. We saw last week James Davison stealing a win for these drivers battling for the championship here. And as we see, Kennan is out by 8 points right now.
Max Kennan's going to need a lot of help. That's all it comes down to. He needs a yellow flag. He needs to get up to the front, and at this point with DeGroot in 8th, he needs to win this race. DeGroot is running well enough to where it won't matter what Max Kennan does, even if he can manage to get a few more spots. But Kennan just smacked the fence, and he's going to lose positions to Robbie Lyons and to DeGroot. So even more of a hole for Max Kennan to dig himself out of, and it is looking grim for Kennan's chances to make the championship four.
It certainly is, so we'll have to keep an eye on that run right now as we are closing in 7 laps to go around Auto Club Speedway here. Anthony Alfredo's trying to fight back on the outside with Anders Krohn as they'll go side by side for the race lead. It's a 2-car race. You see right behind in camera, Preston Pardis, Will Rogers right there battling it out as well, trying to make up ground for third as they work their way off turn number 4. Anders Krohn pulls another slide job in front of Alfredo.
Big move from Anders Krohn to get up top and get in front of Anthony Alfredo. And Alfredo tried to go to the bottom to pull the crossover, but couldn't get there. So instead, Alfredo will take that top line, and he'll just see if he can keep the momentum right up against the fence, as Krohn will go to the bottom to try and drive and slide in front of Alfredo on the exit of 2.
He's going to try his best as we see the 2 slide job. Big shut on the door for Anders Krohn on Anthony Alfredo. Anthony's now going to try to power on the outside as they'll go side by side down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3 and 4. Krohn on the inside, Alfredo up on the top.
Nobody really going down to the bottom the same way they were some 5 or 10 laps earlier, as Krohn now in front and there to stop Anthony Alfredo in his tracks, as Alfredo's going to go all the way down to the white line and Krohn's going to go even lower. Also a good battle behind for P3 between Preston Pardis and Will Rogers.
Yeah, those two are battling it out right now. Will Rogers in the Space Station Gaming number 55 pulls a big slide job on Preston Pardis right now. The 2 Xfinity drivers battling it out here as they work their way down the back straightaway here. Pardis going to get on the back bumper of Rogers, send him a little bit of a nudge as they push down the back straightaway to see if they can make ground on your top 2.
Krohn and Alfredo door to door as they've been the past 5 laps or so, and we will come to 4 laps to go this time, and Anthony Alfredo will have a slightly stronger foothold alongside Krohn as they come to this stripe, but this could be one of those nail-biter finishes determined by thousandths of a second. As you see the points battle, no real change amongst the top 4. It's the same 4 drivers right now who would exit this race in the top 4 in the point standings, and the same 4 drivers that would go to the championship for next week that we started with entering tonight.
It certainly is looking that way as they work their way down the back straightaway side by side for the race lead once again. I think these 2 have been side by side pretty much since we started this restart here recently, as we are closing in on 3 laps to go off of turn number 4. Anders Krone's going to try to see if he can pull another slide job. Can't make it work. Alfredo powers back on the outside.
Exited the turn 4 complex by about a hood length ahead of the 38 machine. When they come back to 1, they will be absolutely dead even fender to fender as Alfredo drives it really hard up on the high line, but Krone will get that advantage. As you see the onboard shots, you get a really good sense of just how tough and just how tight and just how close it is, even with the momentum going down the back straightaway.
It certainly is, but up the road a little bit ahead of them is some lap traffic. They might have to keep an eye on that and see how to work a way around those two as they work their way off of turn number 4 right now. Still side by side for the race lead. Will Rogers has broken away from Preston Pardis for 3rd and tries to see if he can get involved in this 2-man race for the race lead.
It is Krone, it is Alfredo. We are down to 3 laps to go. Now 2 laps to go as Alfredo sends it off into 1 once again, but Krone got a great drive through the middle of the corner that time by.
He certainly did as they worked their way off turn 2. Pulled a slide job in front of Alfredo. Alfredo crosses over to try to go side by side. He'll cross back up in front of Anders Krone for the race lead.
Krone got loose on the corner exit there, and I couldn't totally tell what happened, but he could not drive it in the way he had the last 5 or 6 laps, and he's going to roll up the momentum and run straight up to the fence as Anthony Alfredo comes to get the white flag of the Big Green Egg 150 at Auto Club Speedway.
Here we go. This is for all the marbles. This is for a chance to make it for the Final 4 and for someone on debut to take home the checkered flag. Side by side for the race lead. Anthony Alfredo tries to hold out to the top side. Anders Krone's a big send to the inside. Will he pull the slide job off turn 2? Not quite enough as they'll still remain side by side.
How much of a gap does Alfredo get as they come down the back straightaway? Maybe a car length and a half, but Krone will absolutely have an opportunity, and he'll go down to the inside one last time in 3 and 4. Can Anthony Alfredo carry enough momentum to make it stick on the exit of the corner and race his way to victory? Krone tried to door him, thought better of it. They'll go to the stripe, and it will be tight, but it will be Anthony Alfredo going to victory at Auto Club Speedway in the Big Green Egg 150, and he will win his way into the championship 4 and will be fighting for the Season 2 Monday Night Racing title in the trucks at Atlanta Motor Speedway next weekend. Taylor Burris, Alfredo is there, and a winner once again in Monday Night Racing.
What a race here tonight at Auto Club Speedway. What a battle. And of course, a very big debut for Anders Krone. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do here in the final races and seeing if he can come back next season. But for Anthony Alfredo, doing what he needs to do, going out there, staying out of harm's way, and out there to win tonight's race to guarantee his spot in the final 4.
Anthony Alfredo did not have to win. He had enough points to make it into the championship 4 otherwise, but decided to make it easy, go ahead and win his way in anyway. And Anthony Alfredo will be racing for a Monday Night Racing title. And as you can see on the right side of your screens, it is Will Rogers, Preston Pardis, and Nick DeGroot that will join Alfredo to fight for the championship next week as Max Kinnon and Matt Stolnag and Gabe Wood miss out and are eliminated at the end of this round of 7. Anthony Alfredo, your race winner this evening ahead of Anders Krone, who had a spectacular debut in Monday Night Racing. Will Rogers finishes 3rd, Preston Pardis 4th. They too will join Alfredo in the title fight in Atlanta next week. Robbie Lyons completes the top 5. Ford Martin with one of his best runs of late. He'll finish 6th. Max Kinnon just didn't quite have it in the end. He was 7th. Justin Melillo in the 8th spot. Nick DeGroot, not a great performance from the 89. He finishes in 9th, but it's still good enough to get him into the championship 4. Kobe Moore completes the top 10.
In the 11th position, you'll find Steve Affont, followed by Gary Sexton in 12th. Raja Caruth will come home 13th, followed by Brett Baldeck 14th. Our in-race reporter, so a great effort for him. Brendan Madonia will come home 15th, followed by Devin Henry 16th. Matt Stallneck 17th, with Gabe Wood, unfortunate for him, 18th. Ron Capps 19th, rounding out your top 20, Drew Welker.
21st this evening was Michael Massey. He was the last car in the lead lap. Paul Sutton finished in 22nd. 23rd went to Mark Ribelas, and Greg Stump finished in 24th. The rest of these drivers were out of the race early. Stephen Wilson, 25th. TJ Majors, 26th. 27th to David Schildhouse. Nick Sanchez, 28th. Ryan Vargas and DJ Cummings complete the 30-car field. We turn our attention to our race winner first and foremost. How about Anthony Alfredo, who picks up yet another win in this season of Monday Night Racing? And they didn't necessarily come right off the bat. He had to work for it the first few weeks, but it's his third win of the season in Monday Night Racing, his second points win of the year. But most importantly, Anthony Alfredo, you are going to Atlanta next week, and you are racing for the Season 2 Monday Night Racing Championship. How much fun is that going to be?
It's exciting, James, and I couldn't ask for much more. There's no better way to lock yourself into the Final Four than winning the final race of the round of 8 and win that cutoff race. Pretty neat. We weren't in a must-win situation. We were sitting pretty well there. Definitely didn't need to win, but I really wanted to because I put a lot of time into practicing for this race, especially because we had control meal replacement on board, and that was their first race with me, so I wanted to do them well. And this update obviously changed the racing here tremendously for the better, but because of that, had to try to figure it out and have an idea of what it was going to do, especially racing from day to night. So put a lot of work in with the lockdown racing guys as well. And Breyer had to leave just like 30 laps in because he has to get ready for the Road to Pro race on Thursday night. And of course the Coke guys as well for tomorrow night's event. So I was a one-man band there the remainder of the race, but we seemed to make out just fine.
That last green flag run was so intriguing to me because not only were you dealing with the changing temperatures, not only were you dealing with the competition that Anders Krohn gave you, but you were also dealing with the tire wear, which increased obviously as the run went on. And it felt like you could almost see the moving target in the way you two raced, that the dives down to the bottom weren't as significant, that the runs up top weren't as pronounced, and that you all had to figure out just how much you could back down as this race progressed. How difficult is that challenge, especially for those who haven't had the chance to run this package, when you're juggling that many variables at once?
Well, it's a great question, and fortunately, I've raced here in real life in the Xfinity Series, and this update, I can honestly say, from real life experience, is extremely realistic. So once I figured that out and kind of got my old iRacing habits out of the way from how the track traditionally was or used to be, I was able to get acclimated pretty quickly and have an idea where things were going to trend. It surprised me because first of all, I qualified awful. I think I was 18th because I ran the top, and I had been so excited running the top around here. I went out there in qualifying and did it, and I guess everyone ran the bottom, which had me actually excited for the race because I knew there was speed down there, and there definitely was, It was really cool to be able to make passes. This is a difficult track to complete them, especially as the tires wear. You mentioned you can't sail it off in there because the tires aren't going to hold you. So with this setup in particular, we were all very tight on corner exit. So if you went in on the bottom and tightened up that radius, you were going to be really tight on corner exit and not complete the pass or drive into the wall. And on the top, it's very tempting to want to gas up, but even up there, you have to be patient with it. So Anders did a phenomenal job saving his tires, I guess, because he came out of nowhere, and he definitely put up a fight, and it was a lot of fun. I couldn't believe how well he was running the bottom, but I did know if I could just maintain the top lane, I would keep having that run off. And that's exactly what happened. And finally, we got fully clear of him, so we didn't have to worry too much about a drag race to the line. I gave him the bottom in 3 and 4 because I was too scared to go down there. Even though I knew I could take his line away, I was worried I was just going to mess up or stall out. So I just tried to go where I was comfortable and knew I had speed from laps prior, and we were able to pull it off.
The victory here, big. The run next week, even bigger. You've got 3 great drivers you'll be competing with: Will Rogers, Preston Pardis, and Nick DeGroot. And then AA and Larry Mack and DW on the call for that one. So I don't feel like we need to give you too many more incentives to try and go win the title, but how excited are you for the opportunity to go race for the championship next week?
Extremely excited for a multitude of reasons. Obviously been very loyal to this league, been running in it since it started up, and have just always had so much fun with it. Obviously I'm close with you all at Podium, and we appreciate you putting on these awesome broadcasts. I'm sure the fans had a great view of tonight's battles throughout the fields for that matter. And then forward behind the scenes, putting in the work as a league owner, I know what that takes as well. So it's just been fun to be a part of it, and then to have the celebrities, if you will, as far as the members in the booth, is going to be really cool and make it even more special. So last time they were in the booth, I won, and that was Homestead for the regular season finale. So maybe that's a good sign. I'm definitely going to have to do some testing. Trucks at Atlanta aren't my best, but we'll put in the work to make sure we can make the most of it and make sure all the hard work throughout the season pays off with a championship.
He'll try and lock out all of the AA Larry Mack DW-led broadcast with another victory next Monday night. But for now, congratulations, Anthony. Go celebrate your gunning for a title in Atlanta next week. Thanks for the time as always, and we look forward to seeing you next Monday night.
Thank you.
Anthony Alfredo, your race winner, but maybe the talk of this race, and not to take away from anything that he did, but Anders Krohn, in his very first event with Monday Night Racing, comes away with a stellar P2 finish and gave Anthony absolutely everything. And to talk about his performance tonight, he is with our Taylor Burris.
Here with Anders Krohn coming home in second place. And Anders, I got to say, you definitely put on a shake and bake show in that number 11. Tell us about what were you able to do during this run in order to be able to battle for a race lead like this here at Auto Club?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, there were so many unknowns for me coming in because I'd never done one of these things before, and Stephen Wilson, pushed really hard for me to be in this race, and Fort Martin was kind enough to let me in, and so really for me it was just a big learning exercise, the whole thing, and I was so slow the first half of the race, and I don't know what it was, but somehow in the second half I started kind of feeling comfortable and then just kind of started picking up position. So I don't know if without purpose because I was slow, I was saving tires or something, I don't know, but at the end, man, it was awesome, and I was just so frustrated that I let Anthony get me there right at the end.
What was the thing that you think you learned in the first half of the race that you were struggling with to be able to improve upon in the second half of the race?
I guess it was just figuring out the lines and the nuances of every single seam of the track. I think I went probably a bit too extreme early on, either way high or way low on the track, but I sort of found a bit of a groove there, yeah.
Well, your thoughts on, since you're from an open wheel background, competing in Indy Lights and Pro Mazdas, your thoughts on getting behind a full body stock car and racing around here?
Man, so much fun. It's just, I love how the cars move around and, you slide and, you can certainly hip check some people here and there. So I had a blast, and I can't wait to do more of these in the future.
Well, we look forward. Do you think we could see you next week during the championship finale in the trucks at Atlanta?
I'm planning on it if I'm invited, so.
All right. Well, that is Anders Krohn coming home P2 tonight. And James, I got to say that his drive was absolutely phenomenal here at the end, but we also got to talk about another driver who made it into the championship four with a third place finish from Space Station Gaming's Will Rogers.
Will Rogers now joins us. And Will, this just felt like another one of those runs that you've been able to crank out, especially in the second half of this season. And that's not to say that they aren't any particular form of special, but the high level of consistency that you've been able to display has gotten you into the championship four. So how much fun was it out there battling with Anthony, with Anders, with Preston, with all the drivers that you're going to be competing against next Monday night?
Yeah, man, it was great. I had a ton of fun. I feel like iRacing's made some great additions to the service here lately. Obviously, not all the bugs are worked out yet, but man, this was a blast tonight. Once we could kind of weed out, some of the more risky drivers, I guess you could say, it ended up being a blast. Me and Preston, obviously really good buddies on and off the track. We were able to just kind of talk to each other and help each other where we could, but then also be able to throw sliders back and forth. And same with Anthony. I think that we all raced really well with him tonight. Obviously, he was class of the field where he typically is on these iRacing on this iRacing platform. But it's just good time. I'm really glad I've been able to run pretty consistently, as you said, throughout this second half. I think I came into the series late this year, like a few races in, and slowly but surely got my way to the front of the points. I know that win at Watkins Glen helped a lot, and I've just tried to keep my nose clean, and you know what, here we are.
Looking at this run to the championship 4, how big is this for you and for Sean Thorson and everybody at Space Station, and the push that SSG is making into the eNASCAR world? We've talked about it a little bit on our own during these broadcasts, that it's not just about the Coke Series team for SSG. It's about so much more than that. And to be able to deliver in a big way on your own, to get them this kind of platform where you're going to have all eyes on you next Monday night, what does that mean to the organization coming into everything in NASCAR in 2021?
Man, it's just cool. I think it really shows that we're here to stay. We're here to make a movement. And even somebody like me, who I consider myself as a very mediocre iRacer, to be able to go out there, rep the colors, like you said, rep for Sean Duras and Holiday and Unit and all those guys that are part of Space Station Gaming, and allow us to start building this platform in the space. It's big. Really what it's about is our other drivers, though, and building this powerhouse team. We have a fantastic Road to Pro team this year. I think it's been a little bit of a rocky start on both the Road to Pro and the Coke side, but we're going to get there. And the same thing with the Coke guys. Malik and Vicente are great ambassadors for Space Station Gaming, and we couldn't be happier to have them. And I feel like we're going to start, hopefully battling for wins, but at least really make that presence dominant in the space. And it's just going well. So really happy I could fly the Space Station colors next weekend at Atlanta. I think it's going to be a blast.
I can't forget so many people who make your organization to go. Jake Fisher managing the teams. Raja Karuth had a strong run tonight. Justin Knobloch has been competitive in races since joining SSC at the beginning of the year. Have a feeling we'll see more from the group in the races to come. But let's turn our attention to next Monday night, Atlanta, the championship. I think most importantly, you got the chance to race directly against some of the drivers you'll be competing with for the title at Atlanta in a week's time. So what are your general expectations as we turn all eyes towards Atlanta next Monday night?
Oh man, I can't really tell you. I'm not sure. I haven't been a super consistent and fast driver on Atlanta, at least on this service, in the past. So I might actually go spin some laps for once this week to try to prepare and just kind of get my mind right. I feel like towards the second half of the race, it's going to be great. Just like tonight, I feel like some of the carnage is going to get out of the way. Hopefully not amongst the playoff drivers. And we'll finally be able to hopefully weed ourselves out. So it's the top 4 battling for the win. I think that'll hopefully be how it turns out. And who knows, maybe I'll figure out how to race Atlanta and we'll come away with a dub there. So that'd be a lot of fun.
Well, thanks so much for the time. Congratulations on your podium finish. Hats off to you and everybody at SSG. And we'll see whether or not you get that big helmet in victory lane next week and get the trophy and the season title with it.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. And big shout out to obviously Space Station Gaming, Space Station Racing, specifically. You mentioned him earlier, Jake Fisher. He does a heck of a lot of work for us, and super proud to have him on and everybody that makes this happen. So hope everybody will be watching next week. Be sure to tune in, and we'll see you then. Thanks a lot.
Will Rogers, P3 tonight at Auto Club Speedway in the Big Green Egg 150, but most importantly, a championship 4 contender. And you see the final point standings after the round of 7. It's Alfredo, Rogers, DeGroot, and Portis. That quartet will be racing for the Season 2 Monday Night Racing presented by Tufco Flooring title next Monday. Special start time 7:30 p.m. We're going to go on air for the broadcast from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll give you all kinds of pre-race, all kinds of analysis and preview of the battle to come as we get set to go racing in Atlanta and crown a champion. Before we get to Atlanta next week, though, plenty to tell you about in the world of Podium eSports and iRacing this week. It was quiet last week. We had a build. We had folks that wanted to play around at Hockenheim and play around with the new Super Late Model. It's back to official racing this week, and it starts tomorrow night with the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Another round for them coming up. You can see the broadcast at 8:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night on iRacing's Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook pages. The Dirt Sprint Car Championship Series takes center stage the following evening, Wednesday, St. Patrick's Day, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll head to eSports Speedway. You can see that broadcast right here on the Podium 2 Twitch channel, as well as Podium's Facebook and YouTube pages. The IndyCar iRacing Challenge returns for 2021. Their first race of their 3-race stint from the circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal starts Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll see it on iRacing's channels and IndyCar's YouTube and Facebook as well. Before we carry on the doubleheader on Podium eSports main Twitch channel with the second round of eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series from Atlanta Motor Speedway. 9 p.m. start time for that one Thursday night. Friday night, head here to twitch.tv/Podium2, the Podium eSports Facebook page, or the PCA Sim Racing YouTube page for round 3 of the Zone Group Challenge from Road America, one of the great road courses in the United States. That broadcast starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. The MPI Cup Series heads to Dover International Speedway next Sunday night, March 21st, 9:15 p.m. Eastern on the main Podium eSports Twitch channel. And then Monday Night Racing presented by Tufco Flooring season finale from Atlanta Motor Speedway, March 22nd, next Monday night, pre-race 7:30, race broadcast at 8, Podium 2, Podium's main Twitch, Podium's Facebook, Podium's YouTube, just about everywhere you can want Taylor Burris to get you set for a big night of racing. But TV, before we leave Southern California, your final thoughts on an impressive night of racing.
Before we get to that, James, by the way, you forgot to mention Adam Alexander, Darrell Waltrip, Larry Mack covering the championship race, as you saw on screen for next week's Monday Night Racing presented by Tufco Flooring. But as for tonight's race, we saw a lot of great racing action. A lot of drivers didn't really seem to like the new grooves here in Atlanta, but it provided such great racing. We've seen 2, 3, 4, even 5 wide at some point here during tonight's race at Auto Club Speedway. And here at the nighttime, it's the right time for racing here at Auto Club with these Xfinity cars. And it's, even though we're looking forward to seeing the short track in the near future, I really will miss how we run here at this 2-mile oval out here in California.
It may not be for long, but even when it does go, we'll remember these sorts of races and just how fun this place is, especially with the Xfinity Series cars. It's long been a favorite combination of drivers across the community and long been one of the best combinations of car and track across the sim. We might have a little bit more of that to work with as well in the years to come. Even if we lose this version of the racetrack, we'll still have it here, and you will still be able to see races like this in iRacing for a long, long time to come. Anthony Alfredo is your winner of the Big Green Egg 150. It is he who will lead the charge into the championship along with Will Rogers, Preston Parters, and Nick DeGroot. Those 4 will race for the Season 2 title of Monday Night Racing next Monday night on Podium eSports. You will not want to miss that event as Adam Alexander, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip bring you the call from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. Time to close out our broadcast tonight from Auto Club Speedway in this Big Green Egg 150 for Monday Night Racing. For Ford Martin, Paul Sutton, Josh Mendoza at Monday Night NASCAR, Francisco Scaramuza, Gary Sexton, John Theodore at Podium eSports, our producer, Ryan Bauer, our colleagues in the booth, my colleague in the booth, Taylor Burris, James Pike here, the voice of Podium eSports. Thanks so much for watching tonight's broadcast, and once again, we dedicate our broadcast this evening to the late Brenna Eggert, mother of Monday Night Racing competitor Seth Eggert, and we send our condolences to his friends and family at this difficult time. Thank you so much for watching, and good night.